Hey everyone, welcome back to Seed Media. Today's tutorial is going to be a very simple building a password generator using the FastAPI framework. It's basically an introduction to how API works with the FastAPI framework and how to get started with it. So without wasting much time, let's get started. So I already have my Visual Studio code open on my Mac computer, and I already have an empty folder called the FastAPI password generator. Every code that would be used or developed in the course of this tutorial would also be made available via my GitHub profile. So if you're on a Mac computer, you can basically just hit the Control tilde key to, we're going to set up a virtual environment first. So we'll just do Python 3 -m, and that's a VENV, yeah. And it sets up the virtual environment called the virtual env, and we can go into it to source env and then bin / activate. And we're basically in virtual environment. And you can simply tell that we're in the virtual environment based on the name of the virtual environment that is directly beside it here. I already have an additional one here, but you can just ignore that. You probably won't have that on your own computer. So if you're on a Windows computer, I think it works the same way, but on a Windows computer, you just do something like benv / then scripts and then activate. And that's for a Windows computer. So now that we're in our virtual environment, the first thing we need to do is set up the FastAPI. We need to install FastAPI on the virtual environment. We can do that first. That's FastAPI and the UVCon, which serves as the server for running the FastAPI framework. While that is getting set up, we can simply create two files. And one is going to be the generator.py file, and an additional file that is also going to be the main.py file that will serve as the entry point into our FastAPI application. Now we have FastAPI fully installed. I tend to like to keep my terminal clear, so I'll just simply run the clear command. Now in the generator.py file, we're going to enter the logic that will be responsible for the generation of the random passwords that we want to be working with. Because I said it's a very basic and simple FastAPI application. So the first thing we need to do is import the string module from the Python and also import random. Then we can write a function. Let's call this generate password and give it a length. And we'll also have additional values that will be expected. We can include upper. If you want to offer upper, it's going to be of a type boolean, and we'll give it a true. Include digits, type boolean, true. Include special characters, boolean, for also making it a bit different. And we expect the function to return a string, and put this all back on the same line if you really want that. I'll just get the screen a bit closer so you can see what I'm typing, so it doesn't look too small. So the first thing we need to do is create ASCII lowercase values. Okay, so this we have type suggestion, and we'll say if includes upper. I'm gonna say the uppercase requirement is true. Got double P here, so it should be single P. If it includes upper, then we want the char set to ASCII uppercase characters. We also can say if include digits, then we want the char set to be a list of, should be string of digits, yeah, special characters. Then we want the char set to include this, then this, yeah, I think that works. And also minus if length less than, let's say, 5, then you should raise an error. Password length should be 5. Everything works out as expected. Then we can return the new list that we just created, the join.random.choice of the char set. And in here we can have a for loop. We're not using the value from the for loop for anything, just for random range. We have the length. Then we can move over to the main file where a FastAPI is going to interact with the random generation file and get it to work. So basically what we need to do is that from the FastAPI that we installed earlier, import FastAPI. We also need to import the HTTP exception, and we need to import query. And from Pydantic, we need to import base model. Yeah. And generator.py file, we need to import the generate password that we created earlier. We're going to say FastAPI, and we can say the title. Give it a title of Seed Media Password Generator API. Right? We create a class that's say the password response class that inherits from the base model, and it expects a password value that's going to be a string. Then the next thing we need to do is define our routes, and we're going to have a get routes. I will say app.routes, which is basically with reference to this line, FastAPI initialization that we carried out at the top. I'm going to say get the /, which represents the home directory of our website. And we'll give it a tag. We'll call it routes. Then we'll go ahead to create a function, and this returns the message. See media password generator API. That's it. After that, the next route that's going to represent the generation of the passwords, get a get route as well. I'll get / generate. We do this, we say it's a response model is equal to password response, and we'll give it a tag of let's call it generate, but this should also be in quotes. Yeah. And after that, we define the function directly under it. We'll call the function generate. It expects multiple parameters, which is one is the length. Will equal to query 12. It's going to be greater than or equal to 5 because we already set, remember, we already set the limit up here. But we said we don't want the value to be below 5. So it's going to be greater than or equal to 5, a length of 64. Include upper. Remember, it's a Boolean value, and we give it true. We already have default values set in here for all this, where we have true, true, and false for the include special. We give it a query of true digits. There's also going to be a Boolean field. We give it query. Last but not the least is include special. And there's also a Boolean value. I'll give it query or false. So you can add a try clause. Thus create a new variable called password, or that's PWD. It's called to. We reference the function that was imported up here. This is generate password. We pass the length. Pass length include upper, include digits, and include special. Since we're keeping the same name as the values and in the same order, we can just pass the values directly without directly reinitializing it. We return password value, which is also going to be a dictionary with the title password and the password that was generated by calling this function. In case there's a value error, and they'll say at E, and we say raise HTTP exception status code of 400, and the details of the error message that was generated is stored in this variable up here, and we can simply just save our main file. Now it's as simple and as basic as that, and to run it, you simply do the uvcon main.app, which is a reference to this, and give it a reload, allow it to activate hot reload in it. Address already in use. I already have a script running, but you probably wouldn't get this on yours. I'll just quickly go to a different terminal where I have a PHP app running and disable that, and I'll be back with this. It's just basically a SaaS PHP app I'm working on. I will just do this again. I will basically have this running now. If you're on the Mac, you can simply just hold Command and click on the URL, and it opens that, and basically this is it. So we have the API working. It's that easy to actually have an API working. And the beauty of FastAPI is that it comes with its own Swagger UI, meaning that if you forward click and you click on doc, you hit on enter, it gives you the Swagger generated UI. You see, we already have our roots, which is this, and you can simply just test your APIs here directly without having to install a third-party app. So basically, let's try this out. We can click on tryout and generate password uppercase true. I'll click execute. Execute here. I see generated the password for us. Let's include this as true. Execute, and included the special characters. Let's take off this false and execute, and it does the same thing. And you can see that it's showing us the maximum is going to be 64 and the minimum is going to be 5. If we try putting in 2 and we execute, throws a validation error, say value will be greater than or equal to 5. So that's basically it, and that's one of the beauty of FastAPI, and this serves as an introduction to the FastAPI framework. I'll probably be doing a more weekly update on different frameworks that I use, Laravel, FastAPI, Next.js, and just different short tutorials that can get beginners up and running as quickly as possible. If you want to deploy this in production, there's an option of using the Docker file, which is basically what I use. I basically deploy my apps these days using just Docker. I hardly do bare metal or directly on production server deployments. Yeah. So without wasting much time, I'll see you at the next code. And as I said earlier, the code is going to be available on my GitHub page. Don't forget to like this channel, and I'll see you at the next one. Thank you.